Reef Guy 92 here. I'm in my basement room and I'm going to show you guys how to make a wicked 5-gallon all-in-one aquarium for less than 20 bucks. Stay tuned. You're going to see how I build the tank. You're going to see how I build the stand. And from that point on, we're going to fill this guy with water, sand, live rock, and livestock. So keep up and watching. We're gonna have a daily episode every day. Click subscribe. You'll get the updates on everything every day as we go along and fill up this tank. So I've got my little aquarium here. This is a 5-gallon made by National Geographic. I picked it up for $9 at a local thrift shop. I bought some acrylic for it, and the idea behind this is going to be putting this acrylic in. We're going to silicone it. I'm going to cut this acrylic to the proper size. I'm going to make my own baffles, and I'm going to make this little guy into an all-in-one aquarium. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, and we'll have this running just like into those innovative marine tanks or any kind of tank like that. You got yourself an all-in-one aquarium. So first things first, I'm going to measure the aquarium inside dimensions. I'm going to cut this acrylic to fit the inside of this aquarium. And they say to use a finishing blade. And that's what I've got on this. And I've already got this height at 11, so we are good. We are just going to cut this guy at 12.5. And that'll be the back panel for our all-in-one tank. Panel cut. And I've cut the panel, which now fits perfectly in the aquarium. It's got a little bit of space there, which I'm going to use for some silicone. I wanted to give myself, I don't want it too tight. And now I've got my aquarium sectioned off, and that should give me a space for doing the baffles. I'm going to cut the baffles in some ABS that I picked up as well. I'm going to make them about 2 inches in space. I mean, it's going to take off some of the room of the aquarium, but we're going to be an all-in-one, which will keep the levels straight, clean, and nice. And I'm going to make some quick little cuts into the top here for the overflow, so that the water can come into the back. As you guys can see, I've got my lines cut in. Of course, the saw doesn't make the perfect job of it, but that's on the back, no big deal. And that will be the inflow or the intake of the water. Water will come through here and will exit on the opposite side, and will give me a huge filter for this little tank to give it a lot more success. When cutting these baffles in the back, I've made them, the original height of this is 11 inches. I made them 10.5 so that it would go on the back and give me some space. I might even go a little less than that, so that I do have an area where it can flow under or flow over. So that gives me the idea of the baffles and the water going, allowing it to go up and over or down and below. To note when cutting this kind of stuff, just make sure you're going nice and slow. The last thing you want to do is cut a finger off or have something like this chip off on you. Slightly terrifying. clamp, fantastic idea. Should have done that first. Safety, a lot safer, and gives me a straighter cut because that stops that plastic from moving. But it did make two nice little baffles here. They're not perfect, but they are good enough. So these are, the tank height is 11 inches. These baffles are 10 inches. So if we can go like that, have that guy there, and they are 2 inches wide. So to go into the back of the aquarium, I'm going to have to obviously glue these. Are going to be silicone, and that'll be later on in the video. Hey everyone, this is the back side of the chamber here that I've got. I've cut all the pieces of wood. I've cut all the baffles. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding a baffle, and I'm going to be putting a dab of hot glue on the top and on the bottom edge so that it gives me a chance for that baffle to stay straight up and down, and while I put a nice little bead of silicone on it after. One important thing to note is using silicone is 100% silicone. This little tube I picked up at Home Depot, and it does not have any mildew remover or anything like that, because that can actually be very harmful for your inhabitants in your aquarium. So the water will be going down through this bottom chamber, and then it's going to give me an option of putting in some foam blocks in between the two. That way we'll get some mechanical filtration into the back of this filter. I'm going to make sure that the bottom edge is level with the bottom, and then I'm going to hot glue gun the edges to the back panel, thus keeping it straight just like the last one I just did. That way it'll give me a chance to give that nice bead a good bond with the silicone. Now, take my silicone, like this, and then I can go along the inside edges of these to get them fully secured. So an important step to this is making sure that the silicone is cut at an angle so that you're able to get a nice little bead, and then running your finger along just to push all that silicone right nicely into the cracks, giving it a good secure bond and allowing it to look nice and clean as well. So an important step is letting the silicone cure for about 24 hours before adding any water to it. I'll tip this up here so you guys can see that the back baffles are secure, and that is now ready to go into the tank, and we'll put that and silicone that to the tank, and thus creating a all-in-one aquarium and making it simple, cheap, easy to do. So here I'm going to run some silicone at the top edges, I'm going to run some silicone on the back front edges, and always making sure that I got a nice clean bead and pushing it into the cracks with my fingers. Again, with the hot glue, I'm going to give it a little bead just to hold everything in place so that it doesn't flop around while I do the silicone. Because the worst thing in making a mess in your silicone is when it moves. So always making sure that your little panels are secure. So here you have it. This is the 5-gallon tank. It is now water tested, water flowing from the return back into the aquarium through the baffles and over the baffles and into the chamber where the pump is stored. That's a MaxiJet 1000. I've got a little valve on there so that I can control the flow. It is way too much for this little tank, so it's down to probably about half the flow that it can actually handle. As you can see, there's little ripples there going through, so just to show the water movement. Water is flowing into the back chamber, and then it's going to be going down underneath that panel, up and over this one, and back into the return pump. So I would call this a successful all-in-one DIY tank. So keep up and watching. We're going to have a daily episode every day. Click subscribe, you'll get the updates on everything every day as we go along and fill up this tank.